Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Gemini and the coronavirus. And yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, as far as what I'm going to be talking about in this video, elaborating on Gemini and the coronavirus, COV, I should say COVID-19, basically, how they act toward this, how they may deal with this, and etc. And the thing about this is, as far as what Gemini, the sensitive areas in Gemini that pertain to this coronavirus, as far as symptoms may go, it could be something. I mean, they're very sensitive to lung issues, respiratory issues, and breathing issues, and those could all be symptoms that could be tied in to the coronavirus. So those areas could be very emphasized if they do happen to contract it. Now, as far as how they're impacted strongly by this and affected, I would look at Neptune and Pluto at this time because Neptune, of course, is connected with diseases, and the fact that Neptune is in Pisces, that could manifest in diseases that the ones that can't be eradicated or cured, and of course, this coronavirus, the one, the COVID-19, is certainly one now, and of course, Pluto as well because Pluto is connected with viruses. And the thing is, as far as Neptune and Pisces, the 10th house is what is emphasized and highlighted for Gemini at this time. So sadly, Gemini might wind up having the dominant parent, which is often the father, contracted their susceptibility there because, of course, the 10th house is associated with the dominant parent, which is often the father. It could also be Two, it might strongly impact Gemini's career, the success they're trying to attain, the stature in life if they do indeed actually get this. And it might even be an older person that might figure prominently in Gemini's life scheme. And even if Gemini does, if the Gemini person doesn't get it, they could still be impacted in those areas because they could have the place of business might be shut down for an indefinite period due to the coronavirus COVID-19. Now, as far as Pluto and Capricorn goes, the 8th house is what is emphasized and highlighted. So for Gemini, this area that might be strongly impacted and affected could be tied into one's intimate or sexual relationships. This is the house of crisis as well. Remember, Pluto can be about crisis, and the fact is, and I mean, the fact that Pluto can be associated with viruses, this could be something that could cause somewhat of a crisis for Gemini a lot more than the other signs because you are talking about the 8th house being associated with crisis. The thing about this is the reason that I mean, the 8th house is also about the house of transformation. Don't forget, Gemini is I mean, they're very loquacious, very voluble, very sociable. And the thing about it is something like this could really change Gemini's life big time. It's a time where it might cause a major transformation in Gemini's life scheme. And they're in a situation, if this really impacts them strongly, this is something that could really be a turning point or like a transformation period for Gemini. And also too, the 8th house is the house of support, and it could be where the support might be a situation that might be strongly emphasized at this time and accentuated, whether it may impact Gemini's ability perhaps to give their monetary support to others if their place of business may be impacted. It could be also, let's say, if Gemini is involved in some credit card debt, if the coronavirus is affecting them strongly, they may not be able to be working as much, and it could consequently this area, this credit issue, might be strongly affected. And also keep in mind it could be psychological issues because remember the 8th house is associated with psychology. In some cases, Gemini, remember, being a mutable sign, they do have a propensity toward apprehension, fear, and worry. This could be something where Gemini could have some issues where maybe insomnia might increase. Gemini can be restless to begin with, but something like a situation like this might exacerbate that tendencies anyway. And also and something like where an illness or debilitation might be imagined or distorted. It's like something like this could put Gemini in a frenzy, I think, because Gemini again is a mutable sign. They are prone to nervousness. They could be have the tendency to worry, despite having a very whimsical type of nature and vivacious nature. They The thing about it is they might start feeling, some body aches or something, and then they start to wonder, well, maybe I have the coronavirus. So, and it sometimes it could be something that might be in their mind. That's what I'm saying more in terms of like a psychological effect. It's That's really what I'm, basically, as an example, what I'm referring to. But the thing about it is, and also two shared resources situations might be somewhat affected by this as well, because it is the house of shared resources, the eighth house. But anyway, the thing about this is Gemini also has a very mercurial and vacillating and flighty nature, to say the absolute least. If Gemini happens to contract this, thing about it is they could be very spirited one moment, and then Gemini might be despondent and melancholy the next. They might have a positive outlook on it one time, then a negative. And even if Gemini doesn't get or contract this illness, what it just could be their general outlook on the situation, because something like this can be very depressing when you're hearing these high numbers of cases reported. There was somewhere around, I don't know the exact date, around June 24th or something, there was some total of like 45,000 cases, new confirmed cases being reported, or around 45,000 new cases being reported in the United States. And the thing about this is, uh, this could be something that might increase restlessness for Gemini. And the thing about it is, if Gemini is forced into a confined or isolated situation, it could drive Gemini figuratively crazy, because Gemini, of course, is very mobile, even peripatetic, I would say, and they have a hard time sitting still. Some of you may have heard of actor Danny Bonaducci, who has Gemini rising, and I've heard that he has a hard time sitting still. So hopefully, I mean, if he was, like, say for example, if he was to get it, he would have it would probably drive him figuratively crazy, because if he had to stay in some isolated place where he couldn't move around that much, I could understand why it could really impact him strongly, as an example. Now, the thing about this too is, but if Gemini is confined and they're in a situation where they can't go out as much as they used to, of course they are going to find means in their home for mental stimulation. It could be getting like some kind of variety puzzle book or something, because Gemini, of course, is enamored with variety. It could be playing mental games like Haiku, Luminosity, or chess, as an example. And Gemini, of course, could be a very excessive talker, to say the least. They could be very voluble and loquacious, and they could talk to you for a prolonged period about many different subjects. And Gemini might even be more active than usual, such as being on their iPhone or smartphone or what have you, and sending emails, text messages, composing blogs on their computer, things of that nature. Anything that could involve communication, even things connected with dexterity. It could be working on automobiles in their garage or something, because Gemini, of course, is associated with dexterity, and they can be very dexterous, of course, because Gemini is corresponds with the hands. So, and also too, if they have anybody that might be getting this or have some symptoms, remember that Gemini is they have very facile mentality. They're very quick-witted, and they will often respond very quickly to a situation. If they have some friend or acquaintance, or there's some family member that gets this, they will do whatever they need to do, and take care of things very quickly, because they are very quick-witted. Their response time is usually pretty good. So I mean, to something, to some kind of crisis situation, you could rely on Gemini to be quick-witted in an emergency crisis situation. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.